everybody, welcome back to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? It's your gals, Morgan and Ryann, back for a new week, new topic. Yeah. How's it going, Ryann?
It's good. Just got in from the metro, which I love being able to say that. So,
Yes.
Oh,
Advanced public transportation is just where it's at.
it's really top tier. It really is. But it was fucking swamp outside, which if you don't know what that means, humid.
Humid.
It was very, very humid outside. So, I'm feeling fresh because I took a shower, not because of the humidity.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm feeling good. It's been a pretty chill week, actually. I restrained myself from overworking, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
Difficult for you. Good job.
If you only knew. I'm talking to the listeners because Morgan knows, but
yeah, I really do.
But yeah, so overall, it's a pretty nice week, honestly. Yeah. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay. I don't know. How high can my voice go?
Right. Because but you had a therapy appointment this week, right?
I did. Yeah. Yes. It went well. We're actually going to do like our next therapy appointment's going to be like a walk in the park. And I don't mean that like it's gonna be really easy, but like we're literally gonna go walk in the park.
Nice. Okay. So that's really interesting you say that, because I was just listening to another podcast and they were saying that their therapist is like very, I guess, unconventional. That's unconventional apparently. But yeah, they do like outdoorsy things. They like go on hikes, and so it's like not focused on the talking, which I really think might be an avenue I need to try.
Yeah. Well, my therapist did say it's like a form. It's called something, but you're right. It's not just the traditional like go sit on the couch for an hour. Right. So we are going to try that out, because I keep telling her I need to get out. I need to, I work from home. We podcast from home. So it's like just a lot of being in the corner. So she's like, let's go outside and chat. I'm like, okay. Even though it's so hot here, not muggy, not swampy, but so hot. So yeah, that'll be fun. Question mark. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll turn that into an exclamation point when you tell us about it.
Yes. Yeah. I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So we ready to get into today's topic?
It looks that way.
Okay. We had some different plans for this episode. We were going to have a guest join us.
Let it out. Deep breath. Like Morgan said, we did have different plans for this episode. We were actually really excited to have a guest on with us who Morgan has corresponded with for like over a year now. Been a while. But an influencer that Morgan just kind of happened upon, Arizona-based, and it was an Arizona-based foodie person that also just had like a lot of really interesting motivational posts, but not in like the kitschy, annoying way, just in like the real life, like this is interesting and I want to be, doing what I love to do, because he really seemed to love what he did. So his name is Will. Will. I don't know if you want to give his handle.
Oh yeah, his name is Will Coles. No, his handle is Explore with Will. He was a photographer, hospitality consultant, influencer, podcaster, coach, and he was actually the first person that we reached out to when we wanted to start the podcast.
Yeah. And so this was someone that obviously gave us a lot of inspiration to do whatever the fuck we want to do. And, when Morgan came to me with the idea for the podcast, I was like immediately excited because I know that Morgan just has an incredible brain. And so she's like, let's do this thing. And I'm like, all right. And she told me about this person, this influencer that she had like corresponded with on a real level, not just like a, just kind of like, hey, I like what you do. It was more like, how do you do it? Like, give me insight. And I feel like every step of the way he did that. And so
he was like so generous with his time, and we did become friends. It was not just let me pick your brain. We actually did build a relationship out of that first connection, but he was so encouraging and excited for us to start and so willing to be helpful. And so
he recently passed away, if you haven't guessed by now. And it's unfortunate because we were really excited to not only get to know him more in general, but have him on the podcast and share him with all of you so that, you could just, see more people doing what they love outside of the quote unquote 9 to 5 that we all have to, agree to on some level. And so I was really excited to get to know him more. And, just how highly Morgan spoke of him. I was very excited for that as well. And so unfortunately we have to do this episode alone, but
this one is for Will. And if you guys haven't guessed what we're talking about, it's entrepreneurship. And we really wanted him to come on here and share his experience because he really was doing it all, and doing it well. So with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So first things first. No, I still don't know how to spell entrepreneurship off the top of my head. For how many times I had to put it in the notes, I cannot tell you. Every time it was auto-corrected.
Okay, can I try?
Can you? Okay. So I was gonna ask you. Yeah, go ahead. Give it a whirl. Let's see.
Okay. Entrepreneur. Okay. ENTRE.
Okay.
PRE. NEUR. SHIP.
Oh, good job.
Nice.
Look at you. Wow.
Yeah.
You never guessed that I was the English major. It's wild. Oh my gosh. So what is entrepreneurship? So an entrepreneur is someone who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or enterprise. An entrepreneur is an agent of change. Entrepreneurship is the process of discovering new ways of combining resources. And then it goes on to talk about market value and things that I don't know that much about, but I'll tell you guys what it says. When the market value generated by this new combination of resources is greater than the market value these resources can generate elsewhere individually or in some other combination, the entrepreneur makes a profit. Ryann's face is like, I know.
It was like the third word in, and I was like, what the fuck? What? You already lost me. Like, go back to me spelling. That was fun.
Right. Yeah, that was good. Let's just move on. Let's talk about the word more. So the word entrepreneur originates from 13th century French, from a 13th century French verb. Oh, I took 5 years of French. This is going to be embarrassing. Entreprendre? You want to spell that one? I'll spell it. ENTREPRENDRE.
Oh, DRE is tough because it's like,
it's in the back of your throat, yeah. But yes. All right, which means to do something or to undertake. So by the 16th century, the noun form entrepreneur was being used to refer to someone who undertakes a business venture. Okay. It just feels like such a fancy word.
It is. It's the preneur,
It is the preneur. You're right.
It's very demure,
Yeah. So one of the largest remaining disagreements in the applied academic literature it concerns what constitutes entrepreneurship. Should a small town housewife who opens her own daycare business be counted the same as someone like Bill Gates or Sam Walton? If not, how are these different activities classified, and where do we draw the line? This uncertainty has led to terms like lifestyle entrepreneur and gazelle, or high growth entrepreneur. Lifestyle entrepreneurs open their own business primarily for the non-monetary benefits associated with being their own bosses and setting their own schedules. Gazelle entrepreneurs often move from one startup business to another with a well-defined growth plan and exit strategy. While the distinction seems conceptually obvious, empirically separating these two groups is difficult when we cannot observe individual motives.
The only difference between these different types of businesses is like $1 million loan from your daddy. Like that's the only difference. Like
That's yes.
if
And we will get into that a little bit.
right. I mean, if that woman like babysitting kids had $1 million, she would just like open up group homes or something and be a philanthropist. Like that's the only difference. Like Bill Gates is not some anomaly. He's just a dude in sweater vests that like has a lot of money because of his family wealth and like shows up to work on time. Why wouldn't he show up to work on time? Have you seen his wardrobe? Like in what world would he take a long time to get ready in the morning? Like I just hate, we'll get into it. Obviously I have strong feelings about this article already, but like,
right.
I just like the fact, like, I don't know if you've seen any of like the biopics or anything, or not just the biopics, but like the actual documentaries like on Netflix and stuff. It's like inside the mind of Bill Gates. It's not that interesting. It's like, what do you think this dude does? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's more like the obsession with rich people.
no, exactly.
That's what those are for.
Very that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So now that we know what it is, and now that we know how to spell it, kind of, 50% of us do. That's Ryann, between Ryann and I. So do we consider ourselves entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to say that I'm an entrepreneur, but
yeah. Your face every time you say it, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Your lips have to really like take a turn, you know.
Yeah, go down. Check us out on YouTube to see our faces right now, you guys.
Oh my gosh. Actually, like in all honesty, no, not necessarily, but you know me, like I'm weird about like labels, like whatever. I'm just a person doing things, but I would say that this is an undertaking that's, you know, it's like inventive. It's not to say we invented podcasting, but like it's I don't know. How would you describe it? Are you an entrepreneur?
I think I have a more of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Ooh.
I don't think I've explored every avenue that I want to, but when I think about my future, I do see myself exploring more entrepreneurial ventures.
Ooh, okay. Based off of the definition alone, like I think I've always felt that. Like when people used to ask, you know, yeah, like in high school, right? What do you want to do for a living? Like, I mean, I feel like hopefully my life isn't just summed up in like one thing that I do, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to try a lot of things. And I've always known that about myself, which has been scary at times, but that's how I know that it's always been there, because even when it wasn't popular, or not even popular, but when it wasn't like the norm for like going to college, usually when you go to college, especially like, you know, 10 years or so back, it was because you were working toward a certain profession, like a certain thing that was going to like keep you through life, right? And then maybe you could dabble in like something else on the side, but it would be more of like a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And I've always felt like I don't have anything that I'm that passionate about right now, at least, that I want to do for the rest of my life. And it's always been like that. Like I go through phases where I'm like, oh, I really like this right now. Like I really want to do it. And then I move on. And it's not even like every decade. It's like every few years, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's true too. I went to college because I wanted to go to school, and I was privileged enough to be able to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I didn't go in like on a 5-year plan or whatever, you know, I didn't have a set track of like, I'm going to be a doctor, whatever it is. Like I never had that mentality.
Right. Yeah.
Which is scary. It can feel very scary.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because it was very abnormal, especially being in such like a track to like, yeah, like I was teaching, right? Like that's a very solid, like, oh, and you've arrived, you're a teacher, keep going.
Right.
And that's great if you have that, if that really works for you. But yeah, I've always realized that like, it just doesn't seem like something that's sustainable for me. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, do you have any entrepreneurs that you admire or like see as inspirational? Anyone come to mind?
yeah, but not like names that I can, like tell people, not anyone like popular or famous, I guess. I mean, I do see like people doing things and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like opening up their own clothing shops. I would say our friend Steph, like, she
Oh, yeah.
does, yeah, she does like these really interesting events where like she, like rents like a space, whatever that may
Like,
be
yeah.
with multiple rooms or just like a bigger hall kind of thing. And then she has a lot of different types of like vendors and other small entrepreneurs, not even necessarily small, just like other entrepreneurs as well. And I would say those are like more everyday people that when I go to their shops or when I, buy their, goods, whatever they do, or watch their art, I'm like, oh, this seems a lot more attainable and relatable because I see regular people doing it, because anyone can do it if you have, a love for something that
Yeah.
will take you out of the quote unquote 9 to 5. It's going to be in that vein, right? Entrepreneurial.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, but I love her events. And she also like works with like a local brewery to like make her own to brew her own beer for the event as well, which is really cool. So it's just a lot of different like interesting parts that come together. And so yeah, our friend Alex, like he's an artist, like I love the fact that he's always done art, whether or not he was putting it on, display, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are a
Yeah.
few. How about you?
Yes, Steph is doing some really cool stuff, and you guys should definitely check her out. What's her handle?
Well, her personal Instagram, but it is public, is at Steph Sagara. And we'll include it in the show notes. But her brand is on Piece Up on a Pound. Yeah, Piece Up on a Pound.
Yes.
And so we'll have it in the show notes in case you're wondering for the spelling, but it's just really interesting. I really like, featuring other people's work, but also this is her event. Like this is her passion project, right? Which is to do
Yeah.
these types of events. And
Right. And
so,
she collaborates with other entrepreneurs,
right.
which is great. And she does stuff around like LA, like Long Beach, those kind of
Mhm.
areas. So if you guys check her out and you're in the area,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
she's
know,
having an event soon actually. So if the date is out by the time this is published, but I'm sure we'll share it on the podcast and make sure it's out there with the people.
yeah, with
Yeah.
the people. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between male and female entrepreneurs. So this survey I found, it was research conducted on 840 European entrepreneurs, and it shows that there is a fundamental difference related to gender. So this affects the dynamics of female entrepreneurship. Women and men don't do business in the same way, which has practical consequences on their chances of success. So great. All right. So while it was to be expected that the motivations for starting a business would be different between men and women, the study revealed that the differences were more profound. They affect both the framework of the entrepreneurial activity and the personality. These factors these factors add up and can be seen in the end as obstacles to female entrepreneurship. So, in addition to the lack of confidence of women compared to men, female entrepreneurship shows characteristics that are likely to reduce the chances of success of the companies created. Yeah, this was kind of a downer. So, all right. So, women are more likely to be solo entrepreneurs, with only one woman in 20 being the first to have entrepreneurial experience compared to 1 in 5 for men.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. So women are just doing it less. They have less professional experience when they start a business. The entrepreneurial journey is paved with difficulties, so resilience is often cited as a quality essential to success. Knowing how to surround oneself with people is vital to getting through the difficulties of entrepreneurship. It's a hard word to say so much. It's vital to get through the difficulties of entrepreneurship and avoid giving up among solo entrepreneurs. So,
I mean, yeah, I see the validity in all of this that's talked about in this article, but also too, just like the world is already very male centered. So every field honestly looked like that until it didn't, right? And so like
right.
I don't necessarily know if I agree because like they said, like women babysitting children in their, in their house, like there are always small ways, and it's not even just children, right? Of course, that's an easy example but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things, women, making baked goods and like selling them, or making like hair products and facial products and makeup, and like those things have always been around. I just don't know if they've always been looked at in an entrepreneurial light. That's just like women things that like they just do, so like don't know if I
Right.
totally agree.
Right, exactly. And even in the beginning when we were talking about like lifestyle entrepreneurs versus like the gazelle, like
Right.
the hard-headed like shark who's jumping from startup to startup and it's like, okay, that's just perspective.
Right. Exactly.
You're still building your own business. Like more women are influencers, they're still making money.
Right.
They're still building a brand and a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all right, so some of the differences, like we said, so motivation is the first one. Women are usually searching for autonomy and flexibility, which who's not searching for a little flexibility? You know what I mean?
Here, here.
Women are less motivated than men by the identification as an opportunity in the market. There is a differential of more than 12 points between men and women in this aspect. So I think this is saying that like women are going to pursue something they're more interested in, whereas men are going to like look at the market, see where there's, a spot to make money, and then go after that, even if it's something like boring or that some would consider boring. Probably us. We'd probably think it's boring.
Right. Yeah. The definition of entrepreneur was like bullshit. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. And like, that's the thing also too. I mean, going back to our episode about imposter syndrome, right? Like, I shouldn't feel so deterred by, just like simple definitions of like market value and things. Just because I don't use those terms does not mean I don't know what they necessarily mean, right? Or like how to apply it to the real world. It's just that this is not catered to an audience that thinks outside of the box, even outside of the quote unquote entrepreneurial box, right? Like, I think that there's something to be said about that as well. Like, this is just not really set up for like everyone to comprehend well. You know what I mean?
And I think that's intentional. It's like the stock market or investing.
Yeah.
Those things are set up in a way where like people feel intimidated by it, just mostly because of the language.
Right. Exactly. It's supposed to feel intimidating,
Right.
So.
It keeps you away. It keeps us in the circle. Like,
right.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it's funny you brought up imposter syndrome because the next one is confidence. And it says, is it the imposter syndrome or a natural tendency to be cautious? The fact is that women are more reserved than men when asked about their chances of success. Men are 72.4% confident or very confident in their success, whereas women are 65.3%.
Yeah, that's
So
because
we're not arrogant.
Right, exactly.
We're not a bunch of blowhards.
Yeah. No, that checks out totally. Like, I cannot tell you how many men that I've met that do the most random shit and are just like, yeah, this shit's like the best. And I'm like, I mean, I don't think so, but I'm glad that you do because it's your whole life. You know what I mean? Like,
right. What's the saying? I wish I had the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is past confidence and it's into arrogance, right? And like, which some may say is needed in this world, but I don't know if we need any more male ego.
Right.
I think we're good on that.
Yeah, up to our eyeballs here. All right, so the next one is women can only count on themselves.
Say that again.
Shouting that from the rooftop. Oh, yeah. What are we talking about again? What's the topic? Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That just reminds me of this on Drag Race when like one of the queens is like doing like this hosting event and she's like, men, why? What for?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet and short and simple to the point. Love
There
it.
you go.
So like we were saying before, women are more likely to be solo entrepreneurs than men. 82.5% of women are solo entrepreneurs compared to 69.8% of men.
Hmm.
And they are almost half as likely to have a partner as men. Since they can only rely on themselves, they may feel a greater need for ad hoc training.
Morgan's just like deep sighing through all this. Since they can only rely on themselves because no one else is worthy and or prepared.
Right. I'm so transparent. I'm sorry. The subtext is strong on this one.
Right.
And the last one was that women feel less entrepreneurial. So a final possible explanation lies in a woman's a woman's perception of their entrepreneurial fiber. When asked about this point, women entrepreneurs perceive their entrepreneurial spirit less. It's so much entrepreneurs. It's so much entrepreneurs.
The language, we were just saying it's not meant for a woman to read.
I know. So to the last part of that sentence again, women entrepreneurs perceive their entrepreneurial spirit less than men. This is paradoxical, to say the least, because in the end, all of the people surveyed had started their own business.
See, there you go.
Right.
No, exactly. And like, I think that this is why it's so important to like point out and name things like imposter syndrome, to know that it's not just in your brain and it's not just you thinking that, you know what I mean? Like actually convincing yourself you're not meant to be in this space. It is an actual like, you know, feeling and symptom of the spaces that just weren't built for you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
No, but a lot of the like hardships that you deal with as someone that's, you know, in a space that really wasn't built for them, or they were an afterthought, it just, you know, kind of reinforces that. Like, see, I knew I wasn't supposed to be here because this keeps fucking happening, you know? But at the same time, it just, one, makes it all the more worth it. But also, two, it lets you know that like it's there, it's readily available, which is why we just need to lift each other up when we do get into these spaces and like let each other know, like, hey, you're not the only one that feels this way, but like keep doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what makes a good entrepreneur? So, according to Forbes magazine, number one, entrepreneurs, 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 entrepreneurs don't noodle, they do.
Don't noodle.
Use you. So, so the hardest part of any venture is starting. Lots of people talk a good game about wanting to leave a big company for a startup, but when the time comes, most don't do it. The trick is just to start. Once you set things in motion, you've already committed. There's nowhere else to go but forward. So the truth is you'll really only learn when you get out there and do it. Entrepreneurs don't noodle, they do.
Okay. I hate the phrasing, but I do agree with the sentiment.
Yeah. Okay. And then it also on this point continues to say that getting things done is an underrated skill. Execution is much harder than most people realize, and it doesn't matter how much you mull an idea over. In practice, the execution of an idea never resembles what you imagined anyway.
Love that. Ooh.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Next one. So, do whatever is required to get a product market fit. Yeah. What? So, whatever you're creating, a product, a service, a book, it is useless if it doesn't find an audience to serve. Behind every idea is a hypothesis, a belief that an idea will be really valuable to a certain target market. So, do whatever is required to get a product market fit. Any venture remains fruitless without a good fit.
Okay.
So, find your people, find your niche. Find
Yeah.
all your wrong people out there who just want to hang out and chit chat with some non-experts.
No, that's really true. Yeah. Find where you fit, and find where it makes most sense, right? Like, I know fitting into a certain like niche or something like that could be tempting, especially if you see like it being very lucrative or, very popular at the moment. Like, don't get me wrong, like trends are around for a reason. It really does help people like push what they're already doing, right? And so I think that's kind of like the difference. Like, don't try to fit your talent or skill or product or whatever into a market. Use the market to sell whatever you're already doing anyway, or what you feel like fits. And so I think that that's what's really important, is that sometimes it's hard to decipher, like, this is a really popular thing right now. Should I just do that and kind of capitalize on the moment? Or should I actually do what I feel is most true to myself or my product or whatever, and then try to fit that into the, current trends, whatever. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
We certainly are. All right. So the next one is, it's not about how fast you pedal. It's about how clearly you focus. So stay focused, eliminate distractions. The hard part of running a business is that there are 100 things you could be doing, and only 5 of those really matter. And only one of them matters more than the rest of them combined. So figuring out there is a critical path thing to focus on, and ignoring everything else is really important.
Damn. That was a whole read. Yeah, that's yeah.
Right? Oh, it's so easy to get distracted. It's easy.
And like ADHD is real. I'm not saying I have it. I'm just saying it's real. And like, I feel as though sometimes there are just so many options of what could be done. You know what I mean? But I do kind of agree with the end of that statement for sure. Like, you kind of do still know, like, gut feeling, that there's like one, maybe 2 things that are at the top of that list, but I busy myself. So.
Oh yeah. I can find a million things to do besides what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah.
It's a talent.
There you go.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
So it goes on to say that the cause of a business running out of cash is often that the firm or business has lost focus and diverted resources to activities that are not on the critical path towards success. So,
I mean, that's debatable though. It depends on also what your success looks like. I mean, being successful and making $1 billion isn't that impressive when you have to like exploit people to get there. But I was like focused and I did it. Okay, well, hopefully your idea of sex, hopefully your I know. Hopefully your idea of success doesn't, come at the detriment of others. Like, you know what I mean? Perspective, and it is sometimes more about the journey, like doing the things,
Right. And I think to be an entrepreneur is to start to get really comfortable with like failure.
Yes.
Right. I think that's a big thing to keep in mind.
Well, right. Because that's the thing. Sometimes I can like fail at something, but if I try again, I don't know if that's necessarily failing, right? It's just like part of the process.
Right. Or maybe not even, I shouldn't even say failure, just things not working out the way you imagined right from the jump. But that was kind of what the other point was about, because it's like, whatever you imagine in your head is not really how things are going to work out, usually just in life. Right. That doesn't mean they're going to be bad. It's not one option or just like shit. There's a lot of different things going on at one time.
Interesting. So I guess, in a way, failure is like perspective. I mean, I don't want to get like too like existential out here, but like, but it is kind of like a perspective, because if it's part of your process and you're like still doing whatever you want to do, or it takes a turn, like you said, that doesn't necessarily make it bad, and failure is associated with like bad. Right. And so like, just because it didn't turn out the way you wanted doesn't mean it's a failure or it's bad or it's either,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that. Write that one down.
Yeah. It'll be my next tattoo.
Oh yeah. Isn't that the same side you already have a tattoo?
Yeah.
You pointed to? Okay.
Got it. It would have to be my whole back, because that's a really long sentence.
It's it's like 3 paragraphs long.
Yeah.
So it goes on to say that oftentimes entrepreneurs conflate success with taking on a lot and moving fast. It's easy to get sucked in when new opportunities are coming at you from all angles. So just keep your focus.
I mean, anything coming at you from all angles is a tough time. I couldn't. It was just too easy.
Set you up for that one. So
Yeah.
the next one is the strategy is the story. So there's a common cognitive bias, illusory superiority, whereby people estimate their worth as above average when in fact they're just average. This same principle applies to strategy. Most companies either think they have a strategy or a really strong one when they don't have one at all.
This shit got cutthroat real quick. Wolf of Wall Street. Like, you ready?
I know. Yeah. So the strategy is the story. They're not different. The strategy is the story you tell. It's the why. If you can't tell that in a massively compelling way, who's going to follow you? Why do you need to be doing what you're doing? And why is it important?
There you go.
Why? Find your why.
I know. I was like, it's all a little bit cliche, but like, here we are. You know what I mean? We're living the why.
Yeah. And I feel like this next one kind of tied into what you were talking about. It says missionaries, not mercenaries. It says, okay, you've started your venture. You inevitably hit a wall. You hit another wall. You hit your 10th wall, and the thought creeps in. Wouldn't it be easier to quit? If you're a mercenary, you would choose to quit every time. The single most important trait to being a successful entrepreneur is to being a missionary, not a mercenary. Every company has a rocky beginning. If you have to have an almost crazy, you have to have an almost crazy level of dedication to your company to succeed. One of the keys is that you have to will an idea into reality. And you are usually the only one that believes in that idea in the beginning. And that's the tough part.
I mean, this could be the handbook for a company or like a cult. I mean, like, I'm like, honestly,
that's mission, basically what a cult is.
Right. No, but that's, I know, one of us. No, but like, I don't know, the whole analogy, like I get what they mean. Like missionaries, they have a mission, right? They have a goal, like this whole thing, they have a purpose, which I get, but also like missionaries really fucking suck. Like they like spread Christianity and like smallpox everywhere. So like, fuck them.
Syphilis. Yeah.
All of them, all the things. But in reality, you are going to be a mercenary because unfortunately we live in like a money-centered world. So like you do actually kind of have to be the mercenary.
Right. You're still selling something. And even though like,
but also too logistically, like I might have to quit because like I need to pay my bills. You know what I mean? Like some things unfortunately do have to just be that way. So I get the analogy, I'm here for it. But again, like, yeah, sometimes you are the only one that believes in it. And like, that's okay. And, even if you do quote unquote gain the success, you might still be a very small percentage of people that believe in that thing, or you know what I mean, or that support it, which I mean, now on the internet, I mean, you can, like, I can't tell you how many people I come across and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And they have like 20 million followers. Like I didn't know they existed and I still kind of know. So yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. So it goes on to say that herd mentality is pervasive, which is why you have to figure out how to stand alone. A missionary is someone who sees something unique and pursues the vision because they believe in it or because they believe it can be of service. So the only guiding light you'll have is your own. So how much fun are you having?
That took a turn. I didn't think that was going to be the end of that statement. Okay.
It's true though, right? You need to have some kind of passion for it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. It comes and goes. I mean, again, perspective, like, I mean, yes, if it's something that's unpopular, then yes. Right. Or out of the norm, then yeah, you're going to need something to kind of get you through that. But also too, sometimes like the only passion that I have is just passion to not fall into like monotony and like everyday boring life. You know what I mean? And so like that could be very motivating through a lot for me. You know what I mean? but I'm glad that I do love what we've created and like what I have in store for my, for my future as of right now. So that's exciting. But I do think that the motivation just to not live like a monotonous life is enough for me to like never stop doing whatever it is to get me out of it.
To keep it going.
To keep it going.
It's probably a good thing you have like a healthy dose of skepticism on these too, because you've already said that you could lead a cult. So maybe we don't need you really, picking up on these tips.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I could totally hold a seminar with like breathing techniques and like / yoga and be like, this is like mind opening. You know what I mean?
Right.
Open your mind and I'll step in.
Yeah, I'll step in. Give me everything in your bank account. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully those help you guys out. If you are trying to, I don't know, do something, just do something. Hey, just try.
Do it.
That was the first tip. Just get started. Just give it a whirl. Remember, Ryann and I asked, when do we get to call ourselves podcasters? Well, we're sitting here recording a podcast, so probably from the first episode.
Fair.
That's true. But the big question, are we doing this wrong?
Ooh, I feel like this one really applies this week. Sometimes they're kind of wacky, but like this one is actually kind of right on the head, a little too on the head, Honestly, no, I think we're actually pretty much doing it right as far as like what it's saying, especially in the beginning part. I don't know. At the end, it got a little muddy, but but at the beginning part, yeah, like just like feeling like we might not fit in the right space, but knowing that this is something we want to do, having a goal in mind, like really trying to hone in on our audience and like who we want to target. Like we have been really trying to do that, and it's not an easy process because you have to try some things out and see what works, see where it really sticks for you. And so for me, I feel like, yeah, in a lot of ways we've been doing it right. I guess as far as women are concerned, apparently. But overall, like I do think that I need to remind myself often how much I really enjoy what we do, because every time I listen to an episode, I am just as excited to listen to it as I'm sure anyone else would be, or even more excited. Like I really like to hear our finished product. It's really cool and satisfying and gratifying to know that we're doing the thing we set out to do. And again, it doesn't always have to be about just the content, which I do love our content, but it's nice to know like, but this is something we set out to do and we're still doing it and it's still happening and we're repeating and, and like trying to continue on that upward trajectory.
Right.
Knowing that there's so many different ways that this could go. Right.
Yeah.
Like we definitely have a good dose of like, wherever we decide to land, like
I know, yeah.
The journey's our own, like kind of thing. But yeah, so in that way, I'd say we're doing it pretty right. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think so. We've pivoted. We've, we've changed pivot. We've changed things up. We've learned a lot. We've had some setbacks, but we haven't stopped. And yeah, I think we're doing it pretty right as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of humming and hawing.
Yeah, like a hard-boiled detective.
I think our goal was to build a community and talk about things that made us feel insecure in adulthood. And I think we're doing that.
Yes.
And that's always going to be our goal, whether we have 2 listeners, me and you, or 200,000 listeners. That's what we want to do. And for those of you who are part of the community, we so appreciate it. And we hope that you feel like we've done that as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Love that. Love that for us. Love that for all of us.
Yes, all of us. Yes. And so I just wanted to end with what Will's passion was. He said, "My heart and passion is adding value to people's lives." And that's really what he did. He was so involved with so many people and he just was so willing to help anyone out. Like I cannot tell you how nervous I was to reach out to him and then how it turned around and ended up being such a, a great friendship, and he was a mentor and so encouraging. And this podcast probably would have taken another year to come out if we hadn't had someone who was, just telling us to do it. And so I'm so appreciative, and he will be very much missed. So this one's for Will. But we also have some very exciting news coming up. You guys, I know we've been saying that for a couple episodes, but drum roll. Oh, that was better than mine. We are doing Side Hustle Summer. What the fuck is that, Morgan? Well, let me tell you. We have asked some very cool people that we know about their side hustles. And we have some very cool bonus episodes coming up for you guys, highlighting what they're doing, how they're doing it, where you can get in touch with them. And yeah, we're just super excited. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple weeks. We will be featuring them, and we will be letting you know where you can find them. So if you want to pick their brain, check out what they're doing, or I don't know, maybe match with them on Tinder. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. No, but it's going to be super exciting. Very, very excited for that to come out.
With that being said, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you've already done all the things, or even one of those things, honestly, thank you so much. It really helps us. And it's just incredibly validating to know that other people can enjoy this as well. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube for the visual conversation, where you can see us slip up over all of our words and say all the things and see Morgan say preneur, 10 times. But other than that, please follow us on Instagram at Wrong the Podcast if you would like to keep up with us a little bit. And if you have any stories or words of encouragement or things that you're thinking about doing as far as ventures, please reach out to us at our Gmail at wrongthepodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much. And we will see you next time.
We sure will.
All right. Bye.
Bye.